Hey everyone, hope they're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to go through Twitter, see what people are sharing on social media. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it together. It's generally related to three different topics: wealth building, commodities, and or financial topics. So let's dive in there. Let's take a look, see what's going on today. If you want to follow me, it's at @finance. And if you want to join our community, you can go to finding-value.com where I dive deeper into all of these topics and subjects, looking for potential investment opportunities, sharing all those investment opportunities with everyone. I also talk about portfolio allocation strategies, companies themselves. We go through presentations. This next one is going to deal a little bit with psychology that people want to talk about, so I can cover that as well. And I'm putting together the slide deck for that one. We do have discount coupon code discount is the coupon code. It's $10 off for the first month on a monthly membership, $50 off on a yearly membership. And you get a larger discount if you've been with me for longer than 6 months. Just message me and I can give you an extra discount for those looking for a yearly membership. So the Energy Realist. This talks about Rystad. Rystad is kind of an energy consulting company, kind of. I think that's what they are. It says Rystad may still live in a net zero world, but folks looking at energy service stocks, onshore and offshore, should consider this chart nonetheless, at least from a contrarian perspective. So this is upstream spending. Indexed value 2024 equals 100. So that's where they level set it at 2024. So oil Capex they have going down all the way here. Gas Capex they have going up and peaking for a while in the mid to late 2020. So 2027, 2028, it comes back down to 2036, and then it goes back up. So here's oil OPEX peak. So oil Capex and oil OPEX, so the operating expenses coming on up, and gas operating peak all the way out at 2046. That's kind of what people are looking at, maybe perhaps investing to this. And this is the global spend goes up and peaks maybe 27 and then kind of pulls back a little bit. This one says one of the biggest professional research firms in the energy space sees 2024 as the peak upstream oil Capex year, with peak OPEX to follow in 2036, a bit better for gas. And it's not just a story of declining US shale while offshore flourishes. I know they've got international off or NAM onshore peaking in 23 and coming on back. They've got international offshore peaking 26 and pulling back a little bit. And then global offshore or that's international offshore. Then global offshore is this guy in the blue. Total global, it's got a peak somewhere 26, 27 and heading a little bit lower. It says offshore oil Capex is expected to peak in 2026 and go into terminal decline thereafter. So there go all those sophisticated drill ships with 15 to 20 years remaining useful lives, aka stranded assets. These numbers don't make sense without a massive shift to renewables, but they do influence consensus and how institutions allocate capital, which may explain the low services valuations. So it's either high oil prices or more Capex, but unlikely the future avoids both. It says Rystad are delusional. If I have to endure one more presentation from them. So that is what is being flung out into the world. A lot of people, they look at this data and what they do is they say, oh my God, we're going to peak in 2026 for offshore spending. They take this data at face value. I am not taking this data at face value. I'm just sharing with everyone this data of what is being put out there. Now, do I think that spending is going to peak for offshore and onshore in 2026? No, I don't. In fact, I think the exact opposite could occur. I think that oil, natural gas, and coal, and then uranium as well, well, it should be nuclear. They're the only things that are able to sustain life with high energy returns on energy investment of a modern society. I don't think renewables, especially without any sort of electricity buffer, we'll call it batteries or some way of storing energy for electricity. I don't think they're viable. So this is where big money gets made. Big money gets made where a lot of people think that this is coming. And big money's made when they are wrong and you take an opposing view against the majority and the majority is wrong. So what I mean is people are not positioned correctly for the reality of what I think is coming in the future versus what they think is potentially coming. And if there's a difference and they are wrong, I make a ton of money. If there's a difference and this plays out, I don't lose that much because all the stocks are already cheaper than cheap. So it's the ability to accurately see the future for what it is. The way that I view this is if we have a growing population worldwide, and if standards of living are going to increase, we're going to have to increase energy consumption. That energy consumption is not going to come from electricity only. I highly doubt that third world countries are going to buy electric vehicles and plug it into their non existent electrical grid in their non existent home that doesn't have the power to feed it. So they're going to buy something else. It's probably we're going to suck down all the oil that we can produce, probably for a very long time, and that is where the big difference is. That's what I think will occur, and versus what they think is going to occur. This is a very American centric view. Coming down, JC Parrots. The US dollar is getting smoked on Trump's first day in office as many of the world's most important currencies are bouncing off support. So this is the Swedish krona bouncing off support, Swiss franc, Australian dollar, British pounds. There's a bunch of commodity currencies like the real, the Canadian dollar. They're also very low and they're bouncing off support levels in the bottom of falling wedges. If the dollar does continue to weaken against these currencies, that will or could spur money rotation, that capital rotation event that a lot of people talk about. And this is one of the ways that you want to view it. The strong dollar sucks in capital to dollar denominated assets. The majority view is that the dollar will strengthen, and that is where people are going to invest the dollar, dollar, dollar. I'm taking a contrarian approach and saying, well, at some point the dollar is going to peak. Uh, Trump has come out and said that he wants a weaker dollar. We've seen positive technicals on commodities, gold, silver, and those are all priced in dollars. There's other things that are breaking out, fertilizers that are priced in dollars, oil priced in dollars. So we could see, it's possible, that commodities break to the upside against dollars and these currencies start to outperform. Everyone is positioned, and the mindset is that the dollar will continue to go up and that is the stronger, the bet is to bet on dollar denominated assets. So a contrarian would bet against it. Here's aluminum futures. They look ready to blast off, and we do have a small chunk in aluminum companies, and that does look like it's ready to try to break out. It looks pretty dang good for aluminum. Yeah, and again, dollar puking, the euro versus USD, USD versus Japanese yen, British pound, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and Mexican peso. Down, 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 where in every single one of these cases, the currency other than the USD is outperforming. North Star says, is it just me or did the incoming US president take his voters and supporters to the woodshed with utter contempt in the pump and dump for the Trump coin? Um, in all honesty, guys, I don't know why this even exists. I don't even know how this is legal. This doesn't make sense to me. How can a president do a cryptocurrency, put his name on it, and then talk about it? Like this is, if he's the one that created it, this is definitely something that I think is just wrong. And we should get these government officials out of manipulating markets or even talking about them, and they shouldn't be able to do it because they have insider information. They have control of money flows of where money goes in the system from a government perspective. They can't be front running this stuff, and they cannot be persuaded to make certain decisions based off of how they are positioned in the markets. I am against this. Coming down, so breakwave. Uh, the U.S. sanctions typically carry more weight than the UK EU sanctions, and this package had an immediate impact on the market. If these sanctions hold and both China and India limit the use of these tankers, Russia will be looking for alternatives. They may be forced to sell their oil below $60 price cap to encourage mainstream owners back into the trade. This would boost tanker utilization and rates. And this is the dirty routes freight rates. Look at the rates here. It was at about 25,000 and now we're well above 50. We're above 60,000. That's a big move. And VLCC, so very large crude tankers is what that is, or VLCCs. Those are the big boys. And that's what we're exposed to, if you guys want to know, in the market are these VLCCs. Brandon says, I missed the Trump coin. I missed the Milena coin. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'll wait for the Baron coin. I thought it was kind of funny. Baron coin and all these meme coins. I still don't understand why people would put any money in it. I don't see the value in it. But, I guess I'm just past, I'm over the hill. I'm past my prime, guys. I don't understand this stuff. But again, I've never been a tech guy. I've never been. I've always been a mechanical guy. When people would talk about chemical cleaning, I'm like, well, why don't you just mechanically clean it? Rub it against something that's got some abrasive thing and take it off versus chemically clean something. And so that's always been me. Bullish trend, SBC capital upgrade, Canadian energy sector to overweight on tariff developments. I hope nobody traded based off of this tariff news. And maybe, just maybe, they use this tariff crap to gain positions in these companies. They have all the companies have great technicals over in Canada, and maybe they needed an entry point, so they scared everybody with this tariff crap, and they're like, oh no no no, we'll just back it off again. Their buddies can get an entry point. U.S. fracking activities rolling over. This doesn't look that great. So U.S. oil and gas exploration and drilling frac spread count. Look at that thing rolling over. This is the great Texas freeze off in 2021, but it's rolling over. We'll see what happens with production in shale. But yeah, that frac count's been coming on down. Investment wisdom. I will tell you how to become rich. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. I am fearful when everyone is super greedy in these cryptos. It makes me fearful of them. And I'm very greedy when everyone is fearful of stuff that we actually need in the real world. So that's where I'm greedy and that's where I'm fearful at the current time. Anas says the point that most US politicians do not understand. There are about 130 refineries in the US capable of refining over 18 million barrels of oil a day. But there's a mismatch between those refineries and the kind of oil that US produces. And we are putting through these refineries more and more heavy Canadian crude. So it says cutting off oil is Canada's nuclear option. What would it mean if they actually were to go through and do that? We couldn't run our refineries without that oil. That's what it means. Oil isn't oil. There are different grades and thicknesses. I can't remember. I think it's CT, which is basically the thickness. I'm not an oil, I'm not an oil expert, but there are different thicknesses of oil, and heavy oils are what we need and are running out of. The light oils, which are more towards natural gas liquids and stuff, that's what we produce here in America. And our refineries need it to be a certain, we'll call it viscosity, for us to refine it. Grady says the precious metals bull is now shaking off the weak hands and the people calling for outrageously low numbers. It is not the first time it has happened, and it will not be the last. Always remember that precious metals, PM bull, will often take you to the mental edge and over the edge. The PM bull simply want as few on board as possible. In playing precious metals, you need your big boy pants on. And if you focus on bias emotions, macro overthinking, why, news, etc., or follow the wrong people, you will struggle. You need to focus on the bigger picture, not if gold or silver drops on a single day or not. You have to know where the metals are in their daily plus weekly cycles so you can have confidence in where they are going. Also, the gold only being 2.5 years into this 8-year cycle, plus that it broke out of the 13-year bullish pattern a year ago and is now making higher highs and higher lows, it means the way is up. And you need to not do anything stupid, since the worst thing that can happen to you in a roaring bull is not a small decline, it is losing your position just before the next leg up begins. Make sure you're on board for the next leg up when gold goes to $3,000 to $3,300 and silver to $40 or $45. Don't get scared out of those positions and don't get too frustrated. Rock Bottom says, wouldn't be surprised to see the launch of Trump and Milena coin mark a massive top in Bitcoin and all of crypto. This feels and looks like peak euphoria. Stick to your strategy and don't give into FOMO. Agreed. I haven't FOMO'd into any crypto. I don't own any at all. My strategy is stick with what I know, stick with what is cheap, stick with what I can value, and then that is what I execute. People will get hurt if they go into things that they don't understand and they don't know how to value. I think a lot of people could potentially lose a lot of money in crypto, even over the long run. Some of these things will go to zero and stay to zero forever. A lot of the meme coins, at least. Dusk for Norway is dawn for Russia. This is an alarm as gas fields supplying the UK begin to run out. So this is oil and gas production under different investment scenarios. It has definitely peaked and rolling over. We've got a low investment scenario, a base case, and a high investment scenario. Or that is UK. And here's the thing, as these things roll over, I don't know what's going to replace this stuff. I mean, if shale rolls over at the same time in America, so let's say American peaks, Saudi Arabia peaks, those are your big oil producers. The majority of growth came from shale. And then you've got all these small guys peaking too. It's like, where's this stuff going to come from? And I think I think what they think is that we're just going to go and adopt electric vehicles. They've got this really small viewpoint where, like, it's a narrow viewpoint where they think that we can just produce EVs like nonstop. And I just look at it like, okay, if we are going to replace the vehicles with electric vehicles, if that is an option, if it is, let's look at some of the minerals. And it's like, man, we don't have the minerals to do it. So they're going to get blocked by mineral constraints, in my opinion, for solar panels, wind, and electric vehicles. The mineral constraints are going to block them from being used. So then we're going to use oil and nat gas and fossil fuels for much, much longer than what we think. And if that's the case, it's like, at what price do we have to start pricing people out? It's not at 70 or $80 a barrel. I'll say that. TMF, Trump declaring an energy emergency may be the best thing for Canadian energy. The more people read and research, the more time that passes, the more people will realize that Canadian energy offers us a significant resource at attractive valuations. There's no substitute, according to A4 Alpha. I agree. But that's going to be a while for people because people are pretty slow. They're pretty slow and they don't pay attention. The weekly cycle has bottomed and silver should now see $40 to $45 next, says Grady. Been saying this for 10 weeks that the $30 level and triple support there will most probably hold. Gold had the 8-year cycle low back in 2022, which called in real time and broke out of a 13-year bullish pattern a year ago, which he posted on what would happen. Means that gold's only 2.5 years into an 8-year cycle and that it broke out of the 13-year pattern base a year ago. And gold and silver are making higher highs and higher lows. With the backdrop like that, then do not listen to the ones calling for outrageously low numbers during the declines, since gold is now in a resumed raging bull market. Also been saying all along that silver 2650 has already been backtested twice with the two blue inverse head and shoulder neckline backtests. So no need to go there again. As always, talks about the service. Now so you're ready both knowledge-wise, emotions-wise, plus portfolio-wise when the big move starts in silver. So he thinks we're going to continue to go up, and he thinks we're going to go to 40 or 45 bucks, probably in a heartbeat. You know, I've been riding this thing for a pretty long time, guys. I am surprised at how short-term oriented everyone is. It's kind of annoying, to be honest. But Trump and Milena are bearish for BTC because they reveal the scam inherent in all cryptocurrencies. You invent a new form of money and you get to start out. Yeah, I think I went over that one last time. So we're going to end it there, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you'd like. Discount coupon code. I will do a midweek update coming up here at some point. Probably release late Tuesday or early Wednesday of my opinions on the markets there. We did have a shorter week this week with Monday not being traded, but I'll still share my opinions on what's going on. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.